Hi, welcome to the THC show. My name is Neil Magnuson and I'm your host for the show today, and this is a show about truth, hope, and change. I can never imagine a better time than now to have a show about truth, hope, and change. On the show today for the 420 session, 8 out of 10 Glenn from CannaMatch.ca will be joining me as always. But Jerry Martin will not be here for the Martin Medical Moment because Jerry's not feeling well today, hoping it's nothing too serious. But he's not feeling very well, so he's not coming in. And I don't have a guest for the show today because the one guest who was scheduled decided it was best not to come out, and the other three people that I approached that I thought would be appropriate also were not able to be on the show. So that's all right. We're going to talk about these things, you know. Truth is that a lot of things have changed and are going to be changed forever now. I want to say off the top that these are my opinions that I give here. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. I'm just a human being with 63 years of experience and somewhat of an analytical brain. And these are going to be how I'm taking this whole COVID crisis. We've never seen anything like this in our history. Certainly since 9/11, and this seems to be in that level of seriousness. I believe in safety first. I didn't always believe in that. As a young man, I threw caution to the wind, believed I was invincible, and kind of lived my life that way. But since then, like just about all other human beings, you get to a point where experience pretty much tells you that better safe than sorry when it's serious. And that when things are dangerous, you always do safety first. And I believe that's certainly the case with what's going on here. I don't know what this is all about, how it started, but I know that, right now we need to cooperate with respect to trying to level the curve or stop the spread of this virus. And that's something that I'm certainly willing to do because, like I say, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist. These are the things we're being told. But I am paying attention, and I think I'm pretty up on what the dynamics of the contagious nature of this is and how to defend against that. And I've been preaching that to the people that come to the lineup at the CSP, for example, and to all my friends and families as I glean information out of the different professionals and what they're saying and what the world situation is. We need to do what we can to comply with the suggestions of the people that are trying to curb this. There's a little bit of paranoia going on about that. Some people are more cautious than I think they need to be. I don't think it's healthy for everybody to stay indoors all the time, and I don't think there's a need to do that. And I'm glad to see that our Prime Minister has a recent public safety announcement where he's saying stay away from crowds. Don't go into places where there's a fair number of people and you're going to have a hard time keeping that physical distancing of, 6 feet is probably good, 2 meters. I mean, a meter is what they really recommend, but they're doubling that to be on the safe side because this is serious. It's contagious. People die at a much higher rate than with the common flu. And so, they want to double that and say stay 6 feet away from each other, which is safe when you can do it, but I don't think you're in any danger when you're 3 feet away from anybody as well, especially if they're just passing you in situations like that. But let's all stay away from crowded areas. Let's stay away from crowded places. Let's not touch anything that other people touch. That's kind of the thing. This virus is active on surfaces like cardboard for 24 hours and plastic for up to 3 days, with stainless steel at a couple of days and everything else in between, fabric for 6 to 12 hours. So it is contagious and it can get spread that way. So stay away from things that other people are touching. Public entrances, doorknobs and things like that are especially places where you're going to find the virus if it's there at all. There haven't been cases that we know of yet where it's been spread that way. We don't know for sure how it's spreading in some cases. Be on the safe side. Watch out for those common touch areas. Mostly don't touch your face. When it first started happening and they started explaining that, I found that I was touching my face a lot. I had lots of different ticks and itches and things like that going on. But I also found out about myself since then that I can be fairly anal about things. I thought I was an easygoing guy, but my brain, when it takes things seriously, makes a game out of stuff. And I recognize all of the high touch areas. I recognize how things get cross-contaminated. And I recognized that getting those things on my face was where the problem was. And so now I'm not feeling itches and ticks, and I'm not touching my face. And I recommend that we all do that as well. I mean, when you're in the confines of your own house, you're probably safe. I say probably, but wipe things down, wipe down your own high touch areas within your home. If you're living with other people as well, and if they're going out and about into the world, make sure that when you come in and when they come in, you wash your hands and try not to spread it that way onto anything else in the house. And, still love each other, still hug each other. If you're sleeping with your wife, you don't have to go outside and stay 6 feet away from her, or your girlfriend or your boyfriend or whatever. Couples are couples, and that's that for that. Don't be anal with people out in public there for the most part. Let's not be too angry with people that we think are violating these things. Just, stay away yourself. There's a lot of potential for people acting out and lashing out against other people. Everybody's on edge for one thing, and a little more prone to perhaps do that. And when you think safety is involved and you think about, maybe they're contaminating my grandmother in doing that or whatever it is, it's easy to get mad at people. Let's just try to stay safe ourselves. And if you're going to suggest to somebody else that they need to, be a little more safe themselves, then try to do it from a place of love in your heart and in ways that people will accept. And thank you for trying to protect them and help them, as not everybody does understand the dynamics of how to deal with what's going on here. So, I mean, those are the main things is, use physical distancing. Don't touch common touch areas. Don't touch your face. Wash your hands and sterilize your areas as best you can whenever you can. And the other thing that they're not talking much about is that hot liquids really do kill this virus, and especially a hot liquid with lemon, like a hot water with lemon squeezed into it. Use that to rinse your mouth and then perhaps spit, and then drink some hot lemon liquid or some soup or some tea. Wash it down out of your throat into your stomach. It sits in a throat for a couple of days while it's working its way into the lungs. During that time, you'll develop a bit of a sore throat or some dry coughing. And that's the time to be really using a lot of hot liquids to try to wash that down. If you wash it down into your stomach, then your stomach acids will take care of it. And that's the way to be personally safe. And let's all stay personally safe, and let's all keep other people safe. So I wish I wasn't talking about this. That's not what I thought the show was designed to do, but certainly that's the world that we've now moved into, and we do need to talk about these things. And I felt that it was important that I do the show today because I have some important information that I wanted to get out there, and maybe this will help you not be so paranoid, but at the same time also be a little safer about how you do things with respect to moving this virus that lives on surfaces for a while and then gets onto your hands and then perhaps gets into your mouth and into your nose and down into your throat and into your lungs. This is what we can do about it. And for myself, I've imposed a 14-day time period going on here because it was a week ago Monday that our province in British Columbia locked everything down, told everybody to use social distancing or physical distancing and all the rest of that. And so that, for the first week or so into this 14-day period from that point, there was bound to be somewhat of an increase because before that, people were certainly mingling and not really aware of these types of things. And if it's going to spread because of that, then you would expect to have some sorts of increases going on. And it has, although the numbers that we have today, there was 67 new cases here in British Columbia on Sunday, 78 new cases yesterday. During both of those days, there was just one new death, and that brings the total in British Columbia to 617. 330 of those are in the Vancouver Coastal Health area, the Vancouver Fraser Valley area, or pardon, not the Fraser Valley area, sorry, just the Vancouver Coastal Health area, because in the Fraser Valley there's 193 cases. On the island, with Island Health, there's 44 cases. There's 4 cases in the interior of British Columbia, and there's 9 up in the north. And I think that's supposed to be a 41. In the interior, 41 in the interior. And a total of 13 deaths in total since the beginning of this thing. Most of those are at the Lynn Valley Care Home. In fact, 42 of the cases are at the Lynn Valley Care Home, about half and half between patients and people that were working there. And 10 of the deaths in British Columbia, of the 13 that we have, were at that one care home. So if you take that one out of the equation, then it's not as serious as many other things in our environment, but still we want to get those numbers down. And I'm really hoping that over the course of the next 5 or 6 days that we'll see the daily totals start to come down because of the measures that have been taken. And if that's the case, then I think that we're going to be okay. And I think that we can get to the other side of this, a little more extended period of being cautious until it pretty much works its way through and out. And we should be okay. There are reports that China is getting back to normal right now. Hard to know what to believe out of China and many of these other places, but Italy's had a couple days in a row of declining numbers, although they've had horrible numbers there, several hundred deaths the other night. So hopefully the numbers come down. But as for British Columbia and what we're doing here, I think that the measures that they put in place should probably start to make a dent in the next days to come. And if we can see that is the case, then we'll get a better handle on how contagious it is and how careful we need to be. And when we can start getting some sense of normalcy going on. Although normal is never going to be what it was before, there's going to be a new normal for a whole bunch of different ways that things are done. I think we're going to have a whole new generation of germaphobes, for example, as children become afraid of other children and other people and of germs in ways that they never were before. And I'm not sure that's healthy. Some fear of germs is definitely healthy. We need to realize that it's not just the COVID-19 to be afraid of, or this coronavirus CoV-2 or whatever this version is. There's a lot of things out there that can make you sick and kill you, and certainly hospital workers know that, and many other people have found that out the hard way as well. We need to be careful about our own sanitation, but we don't need to be too careful. We need to let our kids play in dirt. We need to, not be so much afraid of other people's germs, because in most cases, small exposure to other people's germs help us build our immunity and stay in tune with and immune with the environment that we live in. So it's unfortunate, but probably this pendulum, like most of them do, is going to go too far back the other way now with respect to people being way too cautious about things. And unfortunately, the younger generation really takes that and multiplies it by 1,000 and has a hard time working that out throughout their lifetime. Another one of the downsides, of course, that's going on is the powers of government. We really want to be able to trust these people, and we really want to be able to trust the medical profession. At times like this especially. And one of the themes of our show is that you can't trust your government, and certainly even the medical profession is not to be trusted in a lot of ways with their policies in respect to natural medicines, cannabis in particular. It's been quite disgusting, and I have a lot of issues with the medical profession about that. I certainly have a lot of issues with governments and the way that they abuse their power and seize power and all those kind of things, and certainly that's going on here with what's going on here. Governments will take advantage whenever they can, and this is an opportunity for them to flex their muscles, to get more powers, to do some of the things that they wouldn't otherwise be able to do, and that's what they're doing. I mean, in many ways, this is an exercise for them in understanding and learning about how they can lock down populations, how they can control people. It's an exercise to figure out who's obedient, who's compliant, and who's not. Maybe it's an exercise to find out how long it takes of locking people indoors before they all go crazy, or a percentage of them go crazy. We're probably going to have a whole bunch of new laws out of this. We're going to have laws that force people to go to work. We're going to have laws that force people not to go to work. We're going to have laws about mental illness and who gets locked up and what crazy means. We're going to have laws about people that are medical terrorists because they're not cautious enough about not spreading viruses or their behaviors in public and things like that. And in many cases, these things are maybe necessary to some degree, and in some cases, but in many cases, they're also going to be exercised and implemented where they're not necessary, but they're profiting people that are in government government or the people that are behind government and these sorts of things. So we've got quite a road to hoe ahead of us as we try to navigate this new normal of the powers that government has and how they're using them and where our rights come into this, because our rights are certainly being very seriously curtailed at this time, and so be it. I mean, if you're going to be rampant and negligent in spreading around a deadly virus, well, I guess you need to have your rights curtailed. But that's a dangerous slope, and we'll see what happens with that. And we've all got to be very vigilant in the future. We're probably going to need a whole bunch of new activists to address the new world that we're in, where governments are really masters in ways that harm a lot of people. And this whole COVID virus is harming a lot of people, but the response to it is going to harm a lot more people. And we are in serious trouble of having the response to the virus cause far more damage than the virus itself. Certainly the economic damage, the social damage, the emotional damage that's going to happen. We're going to have a lot of births 9 months from now. We're going to have a fair amount of divorces in the next 6 months. We're going to have a lot of deaths. There's probably going to be a lot of suicides. There's going to be a lot of people that are put onto the streets because of the economic things that are going to happen to them, and on and on and on it goes. So life has always been fragile and complicated. This just makes it a little bit more fragile and complicated, but it's always been that way. And it's not about what life is, it's about what your response to it is. It's not about what happens, it's about what you do about what happens. And it is really important that what we don't lose out of all of this is our sense of fun. It's our sense of having a good time and loving each other, the pursuit of joy. We need to find the things that really make us feel good, and no time more important than now to love your family, to love your friends, to appreciate what we have. It's 419. If you got them, roll them. If you're in a room full of strangers, don't share joints. Oh man, it's not fun talking about all this stuff, but you got to have some fun doing it, and nothing else to do, because what's the other thing you could do is cry and be miserable and be depressed. Well, that's not going to help nothing. In fact, having some joy in your life, finding some happiness is antiviral. And being depressed and sad, staying indoors all the time, isolating yourself from people, in a real serious way, that's not healthy and it's not good for you. And it encourages viruses and it encourages all sorts of other diseases that can happen. So it is really important that we find the joy and find some happiness and have as much fun as we can. People are going to need things coming up. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Maybe we'll talk about it with Glenn, because Glenn's here. From CannaMatch.ca, 8 out of 10, Glenn. Always a stellar guy, braving the storm of virus out there to make his way to Vancouver. You're safe to drive, by the way. If you're in your car, just don't watch out for gas pumps. Use a cloth on gas pumps.
Gasoline has detergent in it. It cleans our engines. So how could it be?
Well, the handle of the gas pump
have you ever
could.
Your hand? You usually
probably not. And I said before, there's no evidence that anybody's actually gotten sick from these common touch places.
Yes.
But we think that's probably the case because of the length of time that it lives on surfaces and things. So yeah, when you're driving, that's the one thing that they did say was, be careful about the gas pumps. So.
We had a problem last week of sharing joints. Well, this week I have brought a cure.
I see. We can still share a joint?
My friend Daniel has sent us some glass joint holders. There's one for you. All right. Look at that. You just put the joint in there.
Of course, it's now contaminated. We realize that because we have to assume that Glenn is contaminated.
Yeah. Pass one to a Neil.
I got my Lysol wipes here. Yeah. I just decontaminated it and my fingers.
Pass that to a Neil then. That one's for a Neil.
Okay.
Right? And then you can, when your friends are sharing with you,
this already pre-sterilized.
You take the joint out and you put it in there, and there you go. And I already have mine. Mine is right here, so
you can laugh or you can cry.
No, we can share
I recommend you laugh.
Right, so all we do is we'll just take the joint out, and I'll pass it to you like that, and you can use your little glass piece, and he can use his little glass piece, and we can still share the joint.
So you're okay, but you're going to touch the joint.
Well, it's paper. It's paper, okay?
We're being really silly here.
Yeah.
I really think that this is really being silly.
Live there for 3 days, and we're going to about to burn the fuckers out of the germs anyways, and you were telling heat work, so we're doing good. Right?
I think so. I got a joint here. Where did I... Oh, yeah, there it is. There it is. There's something else I want to get out of the way before, during the 420 session, and that is the Wilamo contest with the seeds that we had last week.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't ask an easy question because I didn't want to make it too easy. I wanted to get people who really cared a little bit about having the seeds, and I wanted to get somebody that was going to do a little bit of research because they probably weren't going to know off the top of their head what the answer to our questions were. And the questions were, who was our guest that gave us these seeds, and what company do they work for? And that was kind of a question where you could have either of those answers would have been correct. And that would have been Rick the Camel, and he was from BC Bud Depot. And either one of those two answers would have been correct for 1 pack of seeds and 1 pack of Wilamo. I'll do that. And the other question was what episode of the THC show did that happen at? And we had a winner, and I want to congratulate Sweet Love for winning both of these. He got both those answers right before anybody else. And I really appreciate that a lot. And I really appreciate Sweet Love because the guy's amazing. He just wants to grow weed and help other people grow weed. He recently started a seed exchange, but it didn't work out because of spam that happened and other things that were happening, so he had to shut that down. But he's a guy who cares about growing. He very much covets different types of seeds and stuff. He has sent us at the Cannabis Substitution Project a whole whack of seeds this year to give out to people. He's also sent me rolling papers in the past and other things because he wants to help out with our project. And I can't thank him enough for all of those things. I know he's watching. And so I didn't send him these things between last week and this week because I wanted to take this 1 week to explain it and have him with me while I was explaining it. But I'm going to get those in the mail to him real quick now so he can get those things growing. But thanks to Rick the Camel, BC Bud Depot for giving us these things, and to Sweet Love for doing some research and answering the questions and winning himself some really good seeds. And Wilamo, and Wilamo, or wolfstonite, as it's called, is an extremely useful calcium silicate mineral mined in Saint-Onge, Quebec. This rarely occurring earth mineral is only found in a few places worldwide. Wollastonite has a wide range of uses due to its unique organic makeup. For agricultural use, this provides a source of plant-available silicate, carbon-neutral calcium, magnesium, as well as many other beneficial trace elements and micronutrients. So check out Wilamo, a great new product. Check out the BC Bud Depot, a great place to get genetics and things like that. And congratulations to Sweet Love for winning those. I'm really happy that I'm sending them to you, and we'll get those into the mail to you right away coming up. So I wanted to get that out of the way. How about that, Eglin?
There you go, sir.
All right.
Your little glass piece.
I got my thing.
There you go. Throw that in there. There you go. See?
All right.
Only you are touching.
Yeah. Well,
it works. Since you broke your mustache thing too.
I've broken many of the mustache things.
From Gibby, yes. But yeah.
Gibby, if you're watching.
We love you.
Where am I? I'm over here. Yes, we love you.
Yes, we love you.
Awesome dude.
Yes.
And he, I managed to get one of his tokers, his mustache tokers. Do you see these things here? It usually has a longer stem on it.
I have one at home.
You can't give something like that to me and have it last very long. But I managed to get one into the hands of Tommy Chong. And we'd like to send that to Gibson, Gibson of Gibson Glass.
Yes.
And so Anil is still on that. He's still thinking about that. We're probably going to find that. And we'll try to get that to you. It's not completely lost. And whenever you get it, it's going to be good to have it. I know that. So a little bit of a time delay don't matter. What's new with you, Glenn?
Not much. Just stayed home most of the time. Went out to Kilby yesterday and did a little video. Get out and stretch my legs. Walked along the Fraser River. The tide was out, so it was really nice. Lots of sand.
Beautiful.
A couple of dogs came up, said hello while I was live on the video.
Nice.
The owner said they're not social distancing right now, so that's okay, no problem.
And CannaMatch.ca.
Yeah, I was about to say that. You know why you're stuck at home? When I was driving here today, I was like, what can I do to help people? So you know what? If you sign up at CannaMatch.ca during the COVID-19, I'll give you 1,000 credits. So that means you could talk to anybody because we're not allowed to go to people's houses or stuff. Right. So I'll give you 1,000 credits and you can start talking to people on CannaMatch.
People can make up their own decisions as to whether they can go to other people's houses or not.
Well, in the end, a month down the road, you're going to have a couple of new friends that you can probably go meet when they say that we can go and stop the social distancing.
I'm not sure I finished that thing about the Prime Minister's current public service
Yeah, I haven't
announcement.
seen that yet.
He says,
Small groups.
stay away from crowded places.
Yeah.
And if you're sick, stay the hell home.
Stay home just like
Stay
he is.
home. If you're coughing or sneezing and got a sore throat, runny nose is probably a cold. If you got a runny nose, you probably go, wow, good. Glad it's not the COVID.
Yeah, or hay fever, because that's what time of the season is right now.
People sneezing from hay fever
are freaking out.
Cannabis is an expectorant, so you can expect to cough.
Yes. And when I coughed, a friend of mine, my neighbor there, Susan, said, "Cover your mouth, Glenn."
So you're going to pull that out of there.
Yeah, I'm going to pull that out, sir. There you go.
Right.
We'll throw that back in here.
We're trying to learn how to do this correctly so we can teach you people at home how to do it correctly.
There we go.
If you want to share joints.
Yeah.
You know, I love sharing joints. I love sharing joints. I love being with people that are funny and good people.
Yeah.
I love a lot of these things, and I think love is what got me here.
Yeah.
My mom and dad kind of loved each other, and they loved each other so much. There was an explosion that happened, and then several months later, there was a birth. Love got us all here pretty much.
Yeah.
Love is what drives us to be who we are, as we find out when we're young that I love this and I love that and I love this and I love that. And if you go for the places that find your joy for you, become the person that you are based on all the things that you love.
Yeah.
I think love has so much to do with it. And it's very important.
And you know what? Love is going to get us through this, because the love of your fellow human being, to stay home when you're sick, or, stay away, do the social distancing, and that'll get us through it. The love of our fellow human being. Yes.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Is that love is so important right now. Never more important than right now. And I want to say to people that are home stuck with their spouse, and that's not a normal situation.
Or children.
And the kids are driving you nuts. And there's issues that you have with your spouse that have been brewing over time. Realize that whoever your spouse is, this other parent of your children, is somebody that you loved very deeply at one point.
Yeah.
That things go sideways, and usually it's a lack of communication, and usually it's misunderstanding. And if people could get each other and understand each other and express themselves, I'm going to just take that from you, and I'm not going to give it back to you now.
Okay, all right.
Because I love you, Glenn.
All right, I love you too, man. I got more.
And if you're fighting with your spouse, and if you're frustrated and you're feeling like you can't be in the same space, have a revisit of how you used to feel. Think about whether or not this is something that you're willing to give up on, or whether you think you can make this work. And maybe we could use this time of being stuck in close quarters together with a common fear, and realize our commonness, and realize what it is that was attracted us to people in the first place, and how we got into these families, and how we got into these relationships. And maybe we can talk to each other. Maybe we can find a way to talk to each other. Find the ways. Mm-hmm. Everybody's different. I can't tell you the way, because everybody's different. And, but try to make it work. Give it your best shot. This is a great opportunity for doing that. If you ever had to come face to face with what's not working right, now is probably that time when that's going to happen.
Yeah.
And maybe you can make it work right. There are ways to make these things. Just assume that your other half would like to go back to loving you and feeling the way it was back in the beginning, and to talk about and resolve these issues that are there. Because I know how relationships go. I went through the whole cycle. I was 17 years from a honeymoon for years to a regular stable relationship, to a really rocky relationship, to she's out the door, and all that goes along with that, and if you can avoid that and still manage to keep the family intact, well, that's important, because the real losers with my situation was my kids.
Yeah.
They're in their 30s now, and now they can talk about what they went through. That was for them,
Yeah.
I mean, I was certainly a loser and all that, But
we're growing up. We're learning things, right?
The lawyers were the only winners, although I didn't go to court. I didn't pay any lawyer anything. I had some advice given to me, but I don't think I paid any money. Mm-hmm. My ex-wife would have done that. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure. Anyway, Just try to keep it together.
Well,
That's all I'm saying.
That's pretty cool, eh?
It's pretty cool. I'm not giving you that.
Yeah, no, don't give me that.
You got your own.
Well, I want to say thank you.
That was your only joint?
No, I got more.
You got more?
I wanted to say thank you to Daniel for sending three of them for us.
Yeah.
So, and also to
awesome.
Greg Garnce's Daniel. He just lost his son, Daniel. So I said, since I was mentioning a Daniel, that came to mind.
That's so hard.
So shout out to Greg too.
People are having to deal with so much hard stuff all the time anyway, and now they got this going on too. So, like I say, never more important to dig down, find the love, find the ways to, find the joy. Mm-hmm. And on that note, Glenn, I wanted to, because you were talking about saying thanks for these, we got a lot of people to thank.
Yeah.
I want to thank the people working in cannabis stores for providing that essential service, and we could talk a little bit about how crazy that is.
About all these essential service workers.
It always was.
Yeah, the doctors, the store
but all
clerks.
those other workers too.
Yeah.
As I said, there's going to be legislation forcing them to go to work. And, you know what? They're all brave for doing what they're doing, and I think they all have a little bit of a sense of how much people need what their services are. Right. These services of providing food for people and other things that are going on.
And making sure that we're still comfortable at our homes, right?
It's going to be a lot worse if we don't have that. Can you imagine?
Yeah. So we should give him a hand?
Well, I'll give him a hand. You give him a hand. I'll give him a hand.
Applause here.
There you go. I just want to spread love. We got an app for that.
There we go.
An app for that.
Thank you guys. They are keeping us safe and fed too. And
it's kind of beautiful that I think 7 p.m. people are hanging out in their apartment blocks in West Vancouver.
That's what made me think of this today.
The frontline workers, all the first responders.
But they're forgetting about the little guys in the back, like the people who are working at the clerks or the stores, the people who are still working at the liquor stores and stuff like that, right? Exactly. They're out there too, right?
I mentioned earlier, those are some of the more dangerous places to be.
Exactly. Touching
everything that everybody else has touched as
they don't have the equipment that the fire department has to put on, a shield and a mask and a suit, right? They're just out there in the front lines, right? So and
let's see what happens if some of those start testing positive, in significant numbers.
Whoa.
Then we'll really know, But they're in that position of just waiting to see if that's going to happen, right?
That would cause a mass panic if they had to shut down food stores because people were getting COVID-19.
But there's a lot of delivery going on.
Yes.
A ton of delivery, a ton of takeout.
Yes.
And right around the world.
Yeah, you're right.
There is no evidence of any of that causing the virus to spread.
Yes.
I was reading an article last night by one of the people, president of some major food supplying corporation. Mm-hmm. And he did a really, really good in-depth article on that. And, there is a risk, but all these places are taking proper precautions in how they're preparing things, wearing masks and gloves in the process and other things. And, without that though, there'd be mass whatever.
Yeah,
right?
It would be
the food
crazy.
Supply is so important.
Yeah.
We're going to find out a lot of things coming up here about a lot of different things.
There's a guy from Enzo. He said he was watching us from Italy. So I asked him a question how things were over there. Hasn't answered back yet. A couple of people were asking him how it was.
Well, I hope he's all right and his family's all
well,
right.
at least he's at home because he's watching us, right? That's where a lot of those people are in Italy. So stuck at home, and now here England too.
Yeah.
England is locked down for a little while, so it
shouldn't be too much longer.
No, hopefully not.
For here, I think it's a week. One of my friends online figures 10 days, before we'll have a good handle on a number of different things.
Yeah.
They're learning as we go. I believe it'll be Canada that finds the cure and the answers because, we really miss hockey.
The States.
We really miss hockey.
Yeah, because of hockey, eh?
Yeah.
Or the States.
I think, this is like a
Trump
hockey
is
game.
saying in a couple of weeks he's going to open up his country.
It's whoever loves hockey the most that's going to figure out how to get those hockey players playing hockey again, and I think that's probably going to be Canada.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of faith in our fellow Canadians to get the game back on the ice.
Maybe we'll have some influence from the States for the baseball season.
Well, they're an up-and-coming hockey nation.
Yeah, but they got baseball coming too, right?
They probably care as well.
We'll see what Trump does.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But if we just, let's just make a game out of it. Let's stay as positive as we can. Let's help our friends stay positive. Let's find the things to laugh about. Cannabis makes us...
Love and humor.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, love and
humor. Count down the days and then see where we're at.
Yeah.
Some of the world numbers are going to be bad because some of the world places, aren't implementing these measures or whatever. and they've yet to get a real handle on how to stop it. But in this next 6 to 10 days here, we're going to get a pretty good handle on how to stop it, and I think that's going to mean getting back to a number of things being reopened and people going back to work. I know Trump said today he wanted everybody back to work by Easter. I'm not sure that's quite practical, but you can't really get your information from Trump anyway.
No. He could be saying that just to help to boost the stock
he
markets
says
too.
all kinds of crazy things, that guy.
Yeah.
Oh, man. And, and this is it. I mean, what do we believe from all these places? What do we believe even from our own government about things? I don't know what to believe. I just know that, I'm being careful for a little while because just in case.
Just in case, right?
I'm not doing that with religion, though.
No.
No. I mean, that was part of the argument.
Yes.
I don't know. Should we talk religion?
No.
Is it safe?
No.
It's not safe?
Religion, politics, I don't know.
Well, we talk politics here. We may as well talk a little.
That was nice.
I made some comments.
That was nice, Trudeau, to say something to the kids. Did you see that?
Did he? No.
Yeah.
I don't watch
during one of his
everything he says.
One of his live broadcasts from his home, I think it was like 2 days ago. He did shout out to the kids, and he said, thank you for having to do your math homework at the kitchen table while mom and dad are doing their work and stuff like that. We know that, he said, I've got kids too. We've watched a lot of movies, he said. We know that you're getting bored and stir crazy. And then I thought of the movie Stir Crazy with Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor. It's like, maybe I should do a Netflix stir crazy movie night or something.
There's probably a reality TV show in the make coming right up about what it's like to be stuck at home with your spouse and your kids.
Isn't that All in the Family?
Man, that's entertainment, isn't it?
Is that All in the Family?
There's probably some really dramatic situations going on out there in the world right now. And I hope there's a lot of love too.
Yeah.
I hope people are taking advantage of the situation. I mean, if you're forced to stay, there's nothing to do out in the world anyway.
No.
I mean, I'm all for going for drives. It's crazy the streets are so empty because you're safe in your car.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's kind of nice to be able to drive through semi-empty streets, but they're closing down the parking lots at the parks, all around Stanley Park, English Bay. I like going to English Bay in my car, and I never did get out of my car hardly ever anyway.
Yeah.
Just go down there and sit for 45 minutes, have a puff, and watch the sunset, have a few snacks. That's how I did lots of my days like that.
I was thinking
and now they don't want you doing that either. I don't get that. I think they're going way too far on that.
Yeah.
I think they're going too far on a number of different things. But maybe they got to go too far and then see what they can ease back on.
Maybe they're feeling pressure from the public because people are complaining that they're doing this, so they've got to do something so they look better, right?
These
just
are
like when 420 comes
right?
up, they've got to look good. They say, no, it's not supposed to happen.
I mean, it works for them.
Yes.
They get to pull a whole bunch more power for themselves.
Yeah.
They get to use all that power to control people in severe ways.
Yeah.
And they're doing overkill, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Serious overkill.
Overkill.
That it's probably going to subside anyway with the hot weather coming to some degree, and if people learn to be careful about not touching common spaces, not touching their face and it was probably going to subside anyway. I'm sure they're hoping it subsides, because then they're all going to stand up and say, we protected you, we saved you, we did what had to be done.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, just like the Patriot Act during 9/11 that came in and is still in effect, a whole bunch of legislation is going to come in, give them a whole bunch of more powers, and they're not going to go away anytime soon. Yeah. So it's really working for them. They can get a bunch more power, use it to look good, and then maintain that power. I'm a skeptic. People got to understand that I'm a skeptic. We need skeptics. I hope they don't silence me. And if I'm not right, so be it. You don't have to pay attention to me. As I said off the top, it's my opinion.
Yeah.
I'm just one guy. This is my opinion. But I'm skeptical of governments.
But I noticed the news today for the first time, they actually told us how many people have survived, got through the flu. So I think it was
95%.
472 people here in the province of British Columbia, with 100 people surviving through it. I think we only have 9 deaths. So,
Here? No, we have 13 here.
13 and went up there. Oh, yeah, 3 more or something, right?
4 more now.
Yeah.
One in the last 48
But he
hours.
was saying, I got to point out, there's 100 people who have survived this so far, right? So that's good, because I really was thinking that
it's fairly mild, apparently, for most people.
Yeah.
Most people will survive. And if
half.
most people didn't survive, I mean, if we were at like the 51% morbidity rate, Well, that wouldn't be very good.
No.
Then we'd all be locked in our homes and nobody would dare come out.
We'd be in our basements.
And the government wouldn't have to tell you to stay there.
Yeah,
We'd all be
exactly.
going to our bunkers or our house, our cabin in the woods, or building cabins in the woods, or whatever.
Wearing fish bowls on our heads.
The fact that the morbidity rate is about 5% globally is still really serious.
Yeah.
I mean, 5% is still serious, but 95% of people are going to survive. They also announced today that it looks like people that have caught the virus and gone to the other side of it. It's whatever, a 10-day or 7-day event for most people. They make you stay 14 days just to be on the safe side, but typically it's a week to 10 days at the most for people. And once they're on the other side of that, it appears they do have immunity from this particular strain of this virus
well, that's
a
usual.
period of time. We won't know
The
how
human
long
body
yet.
will only catch a germ once because the immunity system fights it, and you can get a different form. Yes,
yeah, they mutate.
Of it. Yes,
and that's the concern.
Like the cold, because we all of us can get colds every year, but it's always a different.
Always
cold.
a different strain,
Yes.
for sure it is.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Once
Yeah.
your body has figured out that one and you're over it,
That's
you got
it.
that one.
You
figured
can never
out.
get it again.
But they don't know how fast this one's going to mutate as well. There's a number of things they don't know yet.
Yeah.
But they're working hard on it, I'll tell you, all
There's
around
lots
the
of
world.
things we don't know.
Lots of things.
We don't know there's aliens.
Who
out there.
knew
We
that-
think that there is,
Who
but
knew that tiny microscopic murderers could shut down our whole fucking world? and
the
economy?
governments did.
1.5 billion people in India are now on lockdown.
Yes.
They have to have permission to leave their homes, and they've only got one death there.
Yeah.
And they've got under 500 cases there.
But you got to say it's got to be the governments now because they have the biological warfare, right? That people talk about. So
this is biological warfare, whether it's being perpetrated on us by another nation or whether it's being perpetrated on us by the bug itself. I don't know.
Yeah,
but this is definitely biological warfare. This is a war that we're fighting.
Yeah.
And to do that, we're willing to sacrifice a lot, I guess, as war always demands, that you sacrifice a lot.
If we're talking about germs, I was sort of thinking that in the Arctic, where they have all this ice, germs can be frozen inside of all that ice.
23 new ones recently were thawed.
As it melts. Is it this that might be
You're trying to
coming out?
scare people, Glenn, or what are you doing now?
I don't know. Well, I'm trying
You
to
look
change the
at the
topic,
list.
right?
I tell you, I don't want to scare people either. And I
No.
don't live in fear, and I don't believe in it. But we live in a fragile, complicated
we
space.
do. It has to be very
no
balanced.
question about it. And if you want to look at the lists of these, deadly and dangerous microorganisms that we live amongst, it's daunting, to say the least. And diseases too. And I don't spend much time looking at these things because
neither do I.
I think that your consciousness can conjure up a lot of things. Your focus becomes your reality, and those sorts of things.
Powerful tool.
And so I don't spend a lot of time focused on any of these things, but I'm aware of them. And there's a huge long list of things that people suffer from, like just random fucking diseases. One in so many people will get this, and one in so many people will get that. And if you start looking at all that, you can go, wow. But what I look at when I'm aware of those things, and when I touch the awareness of those things, is I just realize how lucky I am. How fortunate am I to right now. I love your "How thankful am I today" posts, by the way.
No, thank
I
you.
should probably chime in a little more than I do, but, because I count my blessings every day.
Yeah.
And I have a list of them that I go through every night when I'm going to bed. I always go through a list of things that I'm real happy about. And I start with my health.
Yeah.
How am I feeling? I'm alive.
Yeah.
And
some
I'm not
people just comment waking up today.
Absolutely.
Right, yeah.
You got to realize how bad a day some other people are having out there. Every moment of every day there is horror happening in people's lives, from horrific car accidents happening right now as we speak to people dying flat of heart attack right now in front of their whole families. I don't want to even mention anything else. I don't want to mention nothing because we live in a crazy world of frequencies and energy and vibrations and thoughts drive a lot of what happens in this world. Everything that is here in this studio was a thought before it became the physical item. We live in a world created by our thoughts. And so keep your thoughts on positive things whenever possible is my advice. I highly recommend it. Okay, I lost that joint. I don't know where it is. Tried, everything is social or physical distancing. Even our joints are trying to physically distance themselves from us. My money escapes as I pull it out of my pocket. There it goes.
I usually lose dabs.
Yeah?
Doug and Michelle sent me a nice little pen. It's got a light on the end of it, a little flashlight. So now I
Right.
can find my dabs on my brown carpet.
Well, you know what we did, eh? We just went right through the 420 session.
Oh, yeah.
and the Martin medical moment.
Oh, did we?
Well, no, because I just postponed many other things in the world.
Yeah.
I just postponed
we did
the Martin medical moment.
Yeah.
So let's do that now. Jerry's not with us because
okay, you do that.
Jerry's not feeling good.
I'm going to do
Where
this.
Where am I? I'm still right. I'm going to stay right here. You're with me as long as you want to stay with me, Glenn. I'd like to have you for till the end.
Yep.
I'm flying solo today, or duo with you, or a trio with a Neil over here.
You can turn back.
I don't need to turn back. I'll stay right here.
I'm doing a dab here.
Hopefully, it looks all right.
We'll blow the smoke that way.
So the Martin medical moment, for those of you that are just tuning in for the first time, is a segment on our show where we discuss the fight of medical patients who are using cannabis for their medical conditions to access cannabis in reasonable ways. This is a fight that's been going on for a very long time. Cannabis has been medicine for thousands of years. It's only in the last, a couple hundred years that there's been a push to prohibit it, to criminalize it, to demonize it, and to keep it out of the pharmacopoeia. And all of that was just lies being told to satisfy the greed of different groups and individuals that wanted to monopolize the sale of things to people and control people's health through their products and stuff. And so the fight for medical cannabis is what emerged through the battle for legalization that was taking place here. And that became something that we managed to establish through many court fights, from Terry Parker Jr.'s original win in the courts and other wins subsequently, about 15 of them since then. And so the courts have recognized that people have a right to access cannabis for medical purposes, and that cannabis is a viable medicine for people, and in many cases the only medicine that works for people, and now an essential service in the face of this virus here. And so speaking of ticks on the face there, so we established the rights of medical patients to access cannabis under an exemption to the criminal code, section 56. And that turned into other fights down the road and other reworkings of the laws to allow for people to get cannabis from a government source, for people to grow for themselves, and for people to have other people grow for them. And it required a doctor's permission, if you will, a confirmation of a diagnosis for which cannabis had been proven to be effective. And so that regime was in place. But even with that in place, many people were unable to access cannabis. They were unable to grow for themselves. They were unable to find a doctor that would allow that. They were unable to find someone to grow for them. They were unable, for a multitude of reasons, to access that particular regime. And so because of that, brave people, good people, who understood what the right thing to do was, opened medical cannabis dispensaries here in Vancouver, in Toronto, on the Sunshine Coast, in many places across Canada. There were medical dispensaries that were operating outside of the law, in contrary to the criminal code. And that progressed to the point where we had about 150 to 180 operating in Vancouver here. There had been several court decisions, as I mentioned, going along to support all of that. There was a case where Neil Allard was the main defendant that brought this forward, a constitutional challenge. Judge Phelan in that case declared that medical storefronts were crucial and at the heart of access for medical patients, especially those that couldn't access through online systems and other things like that. So we had all these dispensaries. And then comes Trudeau saying he's going to legalize cannabis for everyone. Then comes the city of Vancouver saying that they're going to, even prior to that, license and regulate these otherwise illegal stores. And so that happened. Vancouver's regulation of these stores was really in disguise a way to shut down the vast majority of them, to charge them a ridiculous 30,000+ licensing fee, to eliminate 7 revenue streams for these dispensaries, and to not allow them to operate within proximity to each other or to community centers and schools, all of which would mean that the vast majority would no longer be able to exist. And then they would have to comply with the government system when legalization came in, and they readjusted at that point as well.
And then the government, in various different ways and taken upon different provinces, went around shutting down these medical dispensaries that were operating to protect the profitable interests of their non-medical recreational stores. And this has been just a horrible, horrible nightmare for all of the people that were relying on those storefronts and the people who had been operating those storefronts. We call this the Martin medical moment because Jerry Martin is a fellow who was running a dispensary in a small town in Saskatchewan, in Whitewood, Saskatchewan. And after 4 years of running his dispensary, he got a letter from Health Canada saying that he had to cease operations. And that's not possible. That is an impossible thing for someone to do. A dispensary owner, and Jerry is kind of like the poster boy for why this is impossible. Because Jerry's an emotional guy. Jerry was a person who lived a life where he felt he needed to give back. And in opening his medical dispensary, he found a way to do that. His dispensary over the course of those years helped so many people in such profound ways that he had 1,000 members in a town of only 1,000 people. And some were from out of town, but the vast majority of the townspeople were his members, all with their doctors on board, all with a confirmation of a diagnosis. And so when a person like Jerry, or anybody really with a conscience at all, is told by an immoral, suspect government to stop helping these people, you're not going to do it. You can't do it. It's impossible. I know that. I've felt it. I've walked in Jerry's shoes. I've felt his heart. And I know he couldn't do it. And I know most people wouldn't be able to do it. You would have to help those people that are going to come crying and begging to you to help you get the medicine that has been saving their life and giving them some sense of normalcy in their life and a wellness that they can't get any other place. You're going to keep helping these people. With the threat of arrest, you're going to keep helping these people. And that's what Jerry did. And unfortunately, that's what happened, is they arrested him. They seized most of the property that he had. Jerry's a businessman. He's a smart fellow. He had numerous different other businesses going on. They seized his property. They seized his cars. They seized his bank account. And for now, the last more than 3 years, they've been trying to seize his liberty. They've been trying to put him in a cage for what he was doing. And I can't imagine a more ludicrous, obscene, disgusting thing that could be happening to a person in a so-called free society, a compassionate free society, that could be happening here, but it is. And that's why it's one of the main segments on my show every week. And Jerry's not alone in his fight, as you all know, or can suspect if you don't, that there's a lot of other dispensary owners that have also been put out of business, have had their properties seized, have been faced with charges and arrest and all other types of things, and it's horrible. These are people who were in the face of a wrong policy, were willing to risk their liberty and their possessions to help people. These are the types of people that are heroes. These are the types of people that we're talking about now, that are going ahead and risking their lives to help people. These dispensary owners were those people. In the war on drugs, the dispensary owners were in the front line trenches, fighting for people's rights, risking their own liberty and possessions in doing so. And here we are now with this COVID virus that's shutting down all but essential services. And they've figured out in 1.5 years of legalization that cannabis is an essential item for people to have. The producers of cannabis are not laying off their workers and shutting down their factories. They're keeping them open. The government cannabis stores are remaining open to help people. Our project with the CSP, where we give out cannabis high-dose edibles, is being allowed by our local health department because they understand how valuable it is to people, how much we're helping people. And us giving out high-dose edibles the way we are is completely in contravention of the Cannabis Act and the Criminal Code. So, this is a horrible thing that happened to Jerry and to all the other dispensary owners and to all the people trying to access those stores and to all of us as Canadians. This is a big blight on us as a country and a bad spot in our history when people look back on it, that armed thugs paid for with tax dollars went and made sure people couldn't get access to something that was helping them immensely in their life, all to protect greed, all based on lies. This is one of the most profoundly disgusting things that they will look back on in history and how they're going to view it. Armed thugs bashing into people's homes, going into their basements and into their bedrooms looking for plants. Plants that those people were using to help them in their lives. Plants that they were harming no one with. Even if it's plants they're making money with, since when did making money become a bad thing? I think we're all recognizing right now with this COVID virus just how valuable money is to people. People are going to be doing all kinds of things to make money. They're going to be trying to figure out what home hobbies they can do that they can sell to people. Everybody's scrambling right now to figure out how to feed their families and pay their rents. Well, many people have been able to feed their families and pay their rents because they were growing cannabis and helping people get access to cannabis and getting rewarded and remunerated for doing that. And they should be rewarded and remunerated for helping people get access to cannabis. And shame on the government for all of those years, decades, of using our tax dollars to stop people from doing that for no good reason. There was never a good reason. Cannabis is not just an essential commodity today, it's always been an essential commodity. For all of those people that have been suffering and needing cannabis and recognizing how valuable it is in their life and having trouble getting it for all of these years and decades of government interference in that, it's been an essential commodity for them. And shame on our governments for not recognizing that. And shame on all of us for allowing it to continue to the point where it has. We need to stop them from doing this. We need to do exactly the opposite of what we're going to be able to do coming right up here. We need to be able to influence our government to back off, to loosen controls, to limit their powers, to respect human rights. And man, it's going to be tougher now to do than ever, but more important to do now than ever. And let's have as much fun as we can doing that. Being miserable and depressed encourages viruses. Don't do that. Shutting yourself in your house and staying away from sunlight encourages viruses. Sunlight is antiviral.
Yep.
Laughter is the best medicine, and it's certainly antiviral. Human contact and interaction in positive ways, not those of you who are fighting with your spouse and your kids, but in positive ways, is antiviral and is very healthy for people to do. Let's play games. Let's remember the games of the past that we played. Let's play some card games with each other. If you're stuck in a house with a bunch of people and your kids and your family, let's designate some time to play some games.
What's the oldest game you remember?
The oldest game I remember. I remember
playing 2 in the car that we used to always play.
Well, tag for sure.
Yes.
Running around with my friends.
But if you're stuck at home, you're not playing tag.
No, stuck at home, board games. We played a lot of board games with my grandmother. Sorry was one of them. Some card games. Go Fish. Mm-hmm. Probably one of the earlier ones for me was Go Fish. I Spy.
Remember I Spy?
You can find a lot of things online where you can just a deck of cards. And,
deck of cards. Yeah.
And then make it fun, right? That's the idea.
Yes.
That's the whole idea. You're stuck together, make it fun. Yeah. I know we're all competitive, and competitive is fun if you make it fun.
Yeah.
And let your little brother win once in a while,
yesterday in my video, I was pointing out, too, that we're kind of lucky that we live in British Columbia, because, you live in Toronto, it's all concrete. Here, we can take our child and not be practicing social distancing or go into the forest and have a great 3-4 hour walk or whatever and waste the day, get some fresh air, not see anybody else. But that's what we get to have here and enjoy. Whereas in Toronto, you either got the subway system or some shopping mall or some building somewhere. There's not much to do when you're stuck in there.
I was really disappointed that they closed the hiking trails and Stanley Park for parking around.
Just come out the Mission. We're all open.
if it's clear that people are being callous, then you have to make measures.
Yeah.
But I was sitting at English Bay, a few nights over the last 8 days, sitting in my car watching the sunset, but also watching the people.
Yeah.
I didn't see too many people that weren't being careful.
No.
I know there was some.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't be playing basketball.
Yes. So they took the hoops out.
I think you should be able to play tennis.
Yeah.
I don't know why you can't play tennis. I get
Yeah.
basketball. You're bumping up against each other, sweating and shedding virus.
They'll be sweating tennis too.
Yeah, but you're on your own side of the court over there.
No, let's see the.
I mean, if you're a little bit careful,
just send that sweat flying at the same
you
time.
think it gets on the ball? You think it's on the ball as you hit it, and then it goes over the other, and then the other guy hits the ball and it sprays on him. Is that what's going? Maybe, but I don't think so. I really don't think
you
so.
can actually, to play a game, practice social distancing, let's say Frisbee. Go out and play some Frisbee with somebody, right? Or is it
but Frisbee, you're touching the thing. But then if you wash your hands,
playing with your friend.
Exactly. Thank you, Glenn. You caught me being unreasonable.
Yeah, you're not. You already
you
know
go
your friend
there
is healthy, right?
with your friend,
Yes.
who you're pretty sure is healthy. You both are telling each other, "I'm trying to be careful, man."
Yeah.
It's been several days. I'm good, right? You take out your wipes.
Yeah.
You wipe down your hands. You wipe down the Frisbee, and you play Frisbee. Why the hell not?
Yeah, right. That's good. You got to be far apart from each other. It's fun. You're getting some fresh air, some vitamin D.
People are not stupid. What my concern is that these are measures that might have to be taken if the virus turns out to be holy shit contagious.
I think it would already been holy shit.
If it was holy shit contagious,
we would have already known.
We'd already know. We'd have tens of thousands of people that were already be showing being sick, right?
Yeah.
So I'm getting more and more confident all the time, except that I know this is serious and what other countries are doing we have no control over, but the borders are going to be shut. And I'm pretty sure that once Canada opens its borders again and allows international flights in again, that it will not be allowing international flights in from some parts of the world.
Yes.
That there will be hot spots, countries that have real problems for a while, and to be cautious, they won't be allowed to leave their countries.
Yeah.
So, but I do think that we're going to get back to something normal like that. I'm scared for sports. I know the NHL's really, got their hearts set on at least next year having a full 82-game season.
With the WHL here, they've canceled their season.
That's really too bad. The Giants were having a great end of their
was
season.
Supposed to have the cup there this year, and they're going to lose out because it's circulation.
It won't be coming. It's not postponed. It's canceled.
No, it's canceled. Yeah.
But this is scary territory we're moving into now.
Yeah.
We're going to all understand that in the future, anything you get shut down in a heartbeat. If something happens, I don't like it. I've never liked that type of thing.
No, neither have I. Well, I told my daughter that she gets to remember schools being shut down. I said, when Daddy went to school, it would never happen. When Grandma went to school, never happened. When Grandma's grandma went to school, it never happened. I said, you get to remember this where the school year ended in March.
Let's just hope that this isn't the beginning of a whole bunch of things she's going to be able to remember and tell her, hopefully tell her grandchildren down the road.
I always remember them saying the Russians
but I don't
were
live in fear. I take it one day at a time. I try to make it a little better as I can each day and assume the best. What I can change, I'll work to change. What I can't, I'm not going to think much about because, what good does that do? we all only have a short amount of time in our life. It goes by pretty fast. Mm-hmm. And, each and every one of those moments is like $1 that you have in a bank account. Yeah. And out it comes and you get to spend it. What are you going to spend your $1 on right now, this moment? A moment later, you're going to get another $1. What are you going to spend that $1 on? Are you going to drain your whole bank account, spending your money thinking about things that make you feel bad?
Wow.
What kind of a way is that to live, right? Let's spend our time or money on things that make us feel good. Let's find the joy in life.
I just heard Shelley is saying here that Big Brother Canada has been shut down. It says Big Brother Canada was shut down even though they were isolated. You know that show, Big Brother, right?
Oh, I see.
So they had, all those people in there were shut down.
So they were isolated.
They were isolated
but
because
it's the crew around them.
Yeah,
sure.
And there's more. There's a lot of
huge production crew around any of those.
If we were down to the last 4, maybe they wouldn't have done that. But there's a few of those people still in that house, and so I could see that. But thank you to Shelley for sharing that there.
There's not much live going to be on TV that isn't, even in a studio because there's too many studio workers and production workers that need to be involved.
Netflix and Prime.
Even the CKNW, the Linda Steele show, I know they were doing it from 4 different remote locations, none of them in the studio to make that broadcast work. Linda was sitting at home.
Wow.
there's a lot of
I
that
noticed
going
on the
on.
news, all the reporters are sitting in their homes. They're not.
Yeah.
They don't have,
We might end up doing that here too if it gets worse.
one interview,
We'll just have to
I
see
saw
if
they
it gets
made
worse.
a microphone stand, and the reporter was standing 6 feet away from the person, but he could hear the question, and the microphone was picking up his voice. Right. So yeah.
Well, for a
we're doing
little
our
while,
part.
we have to all behave as if we are contagious,
Yeah.
and we love everybody around us.
Yeah.
And so I'm not going to get too close to
No.
you. I don't want to share it because I might pass to you.
Okay.
That's what I'm telling our lineup.
So next week, if we're
you want to
next
do a little
week-
CSP stuff?
Sure.
Did I finish? No, the Martin medical moment. I will say that there are cases pending. There's cases in Nova Scotia, Heidi Chartrand and Sarah McNeil in Alberta. There's other cases going on here. Pat Warnicki, Jerry's cases, a bunch of them.
Yeah, Jerry's here too. He's watching. He's
Oh,
just
good.
sorry,
Hi,
he's-
Jerry. I
I
hope you
missed
feel
it,
better,
yeah.
buddy.
Yeah, we all do. Yeah.
And so those cases are going to be obviously even further postponed. There seems to be a real effort on the part of the courts to postpone and stall and not get people their day in court as it is. So they're probably happy that they don't have to, that they'll be able to postpone even further. Jerry's case, for example, has been postponed like 40 times.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit. So much money wasted on that file and all these other
he
ones too.
can get
So-
that out of it because they're taking too much time now. Is that
No,
part?
he's
What did Doug and Michelle use?
not all at all, but
Yeah.
many of the adjournments were on his request. By his
okay.
request.
Okay.
And then during those times, I believe he's waived that particular right,
Right.
that he would have to have
Okay.
it dismissed. And I think Jerry wants his day in court.
Yeah.
I'd like to see him get his day in court.
So
I'd like
would I.
it to be like soon, so that it doesn't have to go through any more of this. It's really hard on him to have to wait and wait.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping he's going to get a really good outcome. I don't believe he's going to get into court. I think they're going to drop it for whatever
Right.
reason before he ever gets there. And damn it, they sure should now, shouldn't they?
Yeah.
With cannabis being deemed an essential service, not just here, but in the United States, many of the states are saying the same thing, and a proper recognition that is the case. I mean, Jerry was providing an essential service
Yeah.
to his town.
Yeah.
I mean, how the hell can they persecute him for that?
And he
they
got-
need to drop it immediately because of that. They need to apologize, give him compensation for the things that they stole from him.
Yeah.
They need to apologize to everybody that's ever been interfered with for growing cannabis or selling cannabis or using cannabis. Now we finally get some vindication that they cannot deny, and we're getting there anyway, right? The statistics are really going to show the facts about how valuable cannabis was to people and how there was never any justification for using the criminal law against us.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Do you know who else got good news? Sterling.
Yes.
Yes.
I was going to mention that as well. Thank you.
Yeah, because when you were saying
Thank you. They dropped his case.
Yeah, they
Or charges.
and they gave him back his stuff.
Gave him back his stuff.
But it was ruined.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, they ruined it. He posted it. They ruined everything, so he could not use his medicine again from what they gave back to him.
Bastards.
Yeah, but Sterling had some good news. That was it Luke or Duluth, Alberta, or something like that. They dropped the charges on him.
Good, because I know that was weighing heavy on him too. And it
Oh
weighs
yeah,
heavy on
especially
anybody
he was
that's
coming
got
at
that.
420 too, right? Last year, and he got in the airport, and wow. So it's good that Sterling.
No, they, now hopefully there's going to be a big rethink on lots of stuff as we try to get our economy back going again and our society back going again. But one of them is going to be about cannabis because of the move right away to make sure that people could still get their cannabis, even though nobody should be buying from the government stores anyway. Although I understand that lots of people have no choice. I get that, and at least that's there.
Yeah.
But their sales have increased considerably as people try to stock up and recognize the value of cannabis at any time, but during a crisis as well.
I kind of disagree with the people who have no choice. Because before we had stores, we had to know somebody to know somebody, right?
Because, before we had stores, those same people had no choice then either. They were stuck in small towns somewhere. They really had trouble getting it.
Oh, okay.
Trouble.
But I was thinking, like, I grew up, I knew a dealer who knew, or our friend who knew a
and
dealer.
you lived in Winnipeg, a fairly large area. Many people in
And
some of the
Toronto.
smaller centers.
Yeah.
There's just nobody, and there was usually somebody growing. A few people in even the small towns, but they were so secretive about it.
Yeah.
They had to be, right.
Yeah.
And so no, it's been a real struggle for a lot of people for a long time, and people who need it, and when I say need it, when you have a relationship with cannabis and you recognize the value to your life, the wellness that comes with it, the creativity that comes with it, there's so many aspects to cannabis that benefit people's lives. And in many people, with many people, the way that cannabis benefits their life is a serious need for them. It really, once they've experienced that, once they've had that, they recognize, I gotta have that.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not right without that.
Yeah.
And so for those people living in those real small rural areas, it's been a struggle for some of them. Some of them grow their own. Some of them have relatives. Some of them get hooked up.
Yeah.
But I met a lot on my trip across Canada, like the Freedom Tours. You know, I went across 4 years in a row. I spent 5 months on the road, and every time I'd come into a community and get to know some of the people there, because I'd stay for a few days in each community, and many people would come to me like they would come to no one else.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, I was someone they felt comfortable talking to. I was an activist, and so they would come and tell me after a town meeting or whatever that I was at, and they'd take me aside and say, "Wow, I'm a school teacher."
Yeah.
And I can't sleep without it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it just, or whatever their story would be. And it's so hard to come by. And they'd be so happy that I was bringing seeds, because that's how I fueled the whole Freedom Tour with
so
the
they
seeds.
could grow their own. Yeah.
And the people could grow their own. We put a lot of genetics into a lot of small towns with the Freedom Tour. It was very, very, very important to them.
My moment was when I was 16 and they kicked me out of the Children's Aid Society because I aged out. And up to then, they were giving me chlorpromazine 3 times a day, 500 milligrams. Wow. So all of a sudden, I didn't have this medication to make me feel calm, right? Because this is what they were feeding me for 5 years. So I smoked a joint, and I found that it sort of gave me the same effect. Right? And then I smoked weed for a few years, and then I got onto crack, and I was off crack for a while. But smoking cannabis brought me back off crack and back to cannabis. Right. So I had that moment where you realize that you do need this, right?
For sure. For people who have used it to beat their addictions with other things.
My PTSD, it's helped me with my scoliosis, it's helped me with, and my mental state to where I am today, where I'm smiling and enjoying raising a kid and stuff like that. So
when we had the herb school back, we opened it in 2004. I mean, it was already pretty clear, getting more and more clear, but it became very clear there as much of our clientele became the people from the area that were struggling with addiction and those things, and they would tell us how valuable it was to them. It became very clear to me that this is a medical issue.
Yeah.
This is not a criminal issue. Why the hell would the criminal law be involved in trying to keep people from accessing this, which is absolutely a medical thing? And I mean, if it's just helping you get off of hard drugs, that's medical.
Yeah.
And most people using hard drugs are using it for dealing with pain, be it physical or emotional. That's medical. It's a medical issue. It should never have been a criminal issue.
I never thought about it. When I was after my binge of crack, like each night or 2 days later or something, I'd always smoke a couple of joints to help me go to sleep. Right? Yeah. So it was, I guess it was always there all the time, just not much because you were doing other drugs during the day, right?
So many people have told me that.
Yeah.
That it just kept coming back that this was helping them in this situation. And you kind of know.
It was the one that let my brain stop going that we need more crack, You'd smoke a fucking couple of joints and you're able to calm down and go to sleep and stuff. So,
exactly. It's very, very important.
It's amazing
so
stuff.
We learned that at the herb school. Back in 2004, we were open for 3.5 years there before we got shut down. For just helping people in the neighborhood, it was so ludicrous that they shut us down. But here now we've got the Cannabis Substitution Project for 3 years. We're in our 4th year now. We've been going to VANDU, which is the Vancouver Area Network of Drug Users on the downtown east side, and offering care packs of high-dose edibles, several high-dose edibles, and a joint. People like their joint too. And so this has become something that people relied on, our project. We go there twice a week. We're there every Thursday and Sunday at noon. And so many people have been coming every single time for so long. And then we have this crisis hit, and you can't have groups of more than 50. We've been trying to get acknowledgement and support from the local health authority and from our governments for all the time we've been doing the Cannabis Substitution Project. One of the councillors, I will concede, did pass a motion, Rebecca Bly, about 4.5 months ago, where she got unanimous approval from her other councillors to allow for low barrier access to cannabis to fight the opioid crisis, which means high dose edibles. Has to be high dose edibles. And low barrier means affordable. and not a doctor on board, and numerous other things that low barrier means. So that was in response to our project, and the other project that we have, a sister project, started just about the same time, a little bit after us, was the High Hopes Foundation, that also does similar things to what we're doing in a different way, but they're helping people get access to high-dose cannabis edibles to offset the use of opioids, just like we are. So now we get this crisis that hits, and our lineup is at least 200 people, sometimes closer to 300 people get bags. We had just about 300 people this past Sunday.
I saw the
there.
post, yeah.
We get edicts from the government about gatherings over 50. And I right away make efforts to talk with the health board about what are we going to do. Because I can't stop giving those people their care packs.
No.
Any more than Jerry Martin could stop giving people medicine or getting people medicine in his town. I just should mention Jerry Martin, by the way, in the proceeds from his medical dispensary, it was completely in line with Health Canada regulations as best he could. He used to help the community. He gave back in so many ways. He became known as the King of Compassion because of that.
I was just going to say that,
And so, you know, I wanted to throw that in there. This man that has been so persecuted by our governments on our behalf with our tax dollars is a saint of a human being. I know you're watching, Jerry. I'm not saying it for your benefit.
And his compassion made me...
But I'm saying it because it's true. And you know I know it's true. And yeah, it's horrible that our government would be going after somebody like Jerry. But here they are. Now the health department gives us the go-ahead to gather these people together. And we are in communication with them pretty much every day as we go here. I think that is extremely powerful, that they understand the benefit that we're providing.
Yeah.
We need to have a different way to do it. We can do that if we have a storefront.
Yes.
I've been
then you
talking
just
on
let
the
them
show
into the
for
door,
a while
yeah.
that we're going to get a storefront, and then we won't, and we're going to be there every day, so we won't have long lineups, we won't have people coming in groups like that, and we can have better protocols in place.
Yeah.
We were bidding, apparently, to take over the Smiling Buddha.
Yeah.
And that would have been ideal, except that it's got mold in there that we were going to have to deal with. It's got extensive renovations required. But we could sterilize and start using just the few feet in behind the door and start helping people. And we were really looking forward to that. Unfortunately, the landlords were the Sahotas, who have the worst reputation in this city of any landlord.
Yep, we know that.
But we felt that we could, find them some redemption if they allowed us to, because we're a society now. I should mention that to those of you who don't know, that the Cannabis Substitution Project, after 3 years of operations, managed to become a incorporated society called the Serious Hope Society. And as such, we were going to have a storefront and provide cannabis for free to people who face financial barriers to get it, and have it in a partnership with some other cannabis dispensaries available for people with low barrier access. So that's what we are doing. But the place has been rented from underneath us. We believe this must be a blessing. We're a little silly that way about how the universe looks after us, but it does seem to look after our project, and us activists do seem to have some sort of a favor of the universe as we do our things, and things fall into place as we go. And this one didn't work out, so we can only imagine it wasn't meant to be. But we are now in need of another storefront ASAP. I've also put this out to the municipal government, to the Vancouver City Council, the councillor, who I'm able to talk to, who put forward the motion. I'm keeping her apprised of our situation and letting her know that we're now back in need of a storefront, and maybe they can help us as well. Other disappointing news would be for our society that we tried to open a bank account recently.
And they won't.
And we were recommended the Bank of Montreal. We went in there and talked to them, and we brought all of our papers and all the rest that we're supposed to do. But because cannabinoid therapeutics is in our purpose for our society, they require that we pay them $7,000 non-refundable for a review of whether or not we would qualify for an account, seeing as how we're involved with cannabinoid therapeutics.
Oh, wow.
And they're going to say no.
Yeah.
So they want $7,000 to say no to us.
Yeah.
And now we're going to pursue through a credit union and see if we can get
Credit
that.
unions seem to be a little bit better,
you
yes.
know,
Yeah.
who out there wants to help a society that's hell-bent on saving the world and helping our society? Who wants to help us? Because we need help. We need a storefront, somebody that'll rent to us. We're going to be good tenants. And we need a bank that'll give us a bank account. You know, so we can properly take the donations that we're going to get, that we need to get, to be able to do what it is that we're going to do.
And give out tax receipts and stuff like that.
Well, the tax receipts will be a year down the road.
Okay.
As a society, when you form a society, you need to have a year's worth of accounting, proper track record of what you've been doing.
Yeah.
And then you may or may not be accepted as a charitable organization.
Okay.
I mean, it would be powerful for us to be that, to be able to give tax receipts to people that want to donate to us.
Yeah.
For sure. But in the meantime, you're still donating to a good organization in us, and we are now an incorporated organization. We have obligations with respect to the legalities around a society and our treasurer and that thing, and we need a bank account.
Yeah, you do.
We need a bank account.
Yeah. Or an accountant with a big safe.
Well, you know,
and a trustworthy one, yeah.
It may come down to me opening a personal account and using that in the short term, or something like that. But that's not ideal. It's not what we want. So we got that going on.
What about that online banking? You know that
Tangerine.
Yeah, Tangerine. Because they don't have a store that you can go to. You're talking over the phone.
Mind you,
got some
a lot of
documents.
banks aren't going to have stores you can go into anymore in the new world.
No,
probably.
but I'm just saying. You said BMO, right? So that made me think of Tangerine.
Yeah,
right?
maybe.
Because they're online, so maybe you could do a business account with them.
We will not stop pursuing it. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. I always like to try to think outside the box there. When they talked about social distancing, I put as a joke, as a post, I wonder if they would pull me over in the HOV lane because I have a Fiat and there's no 6 feet in my car to be away from somebody, right?
I had my son was giving me a hard time today.
Yeah.
Because somebody came to the car window, but they didn't really come to the car window. They handed me the bag that I got from them.
Yeah.
And he said they were a foot away from me, Dad. I said, the windshield is a foot away from me.
Yeah.
They were on the other side of the windshield.
Yeah.
My mirror there, my side mirror, is another foot away from the vehicle. They weren't at my side mirror.
Yeah.
It was at least another foot away than that, so at least 3 feet away.
Yeah.
And I looked at him, and there he is sitting beside me in the car. He's only 2 feet away from me.
But we all live in the same. Don't think you live in the same house?
We live in the same house.
Yes. So.
But he's a paranoid.
Well,
he thinks that he's already had it because he went through a couple of days where he couldn't taste very much, and he heard somebody on the radio say that one case the person couldn't taste anything. He goes, "Oh, that might have been it." I knew that guy that breathed as I walked past him at TNT Market. I mean, that's what he thought, right? And he wasn't feeling good for a couple of days, so he may have had a mild case of it. I'm like,
I know a guy like that. My landlord rents out a room in our house, and the guy has a dog, and now anytime anybody passes him or anything, he runs into the house with the dog, just runs like he's scared, right? So yeah, I know that kind of a person.
This is really horrible that people are going to react to other people that way.
Even to us, I said, we live in the same house, you know. Our places are different, but the air system is still the same or whatever, right? So, oh my gosh.
It's too bad is all it is. Whatever is, and whatever will be, and this is what is.
This is what is, and we'll get through it.
I didn't like a lot about the world before this took place because I don't like governments mostly, the way they run things. That's my big issue. I love the world.
Yeah.
Governments cause a lot of problems.
I'm a humanist.
The drug war has caused so much problems. Mm-hmm. Most of the petty crime and poverty that is experienced in North America is driven by the flippin' drug war.
Yep.
Yep. They have spent trillions with our two countries combined over the last number of decades in trying to keep people from accessing this amazing, miraculous herb. They've
Imagine what they could have done with the money. Yeah.
That would have gone into services for people or building our economy or who knows what. I know some of it went into the pockets of citizens that are policemen.
Yeah.
And judges and people that look after cages for people and people that feed the people in those cages. And, there's a lot of work, that's generated with that $1 trillion that they're spending on it. But a lot of it is wasted for sure. And the prices of cannabis and the other plant medicines have been ridiculous because of it.
Yeah.
So, you know, citizens in both of our countries have been spending enormous sums of money to be able to get the medicine that they think that they need, whatever plant medicine that is, for whatever reason that is. I don't discriminate against those people that choose to use whatever they choose to use. I can't make decisions for other people. I can't understand or know what went into their decisions, who they are, what they're doing, why they're doing it. It's easy to judge. It's easy to look down your nose at people. So many people look down their nose at people that are engaged in behaviors while they themselves are engaged in similar behaviors. You know, I think of the brandy sniffers and the cigarette smokers and the pill poppers who look down their nose at the cannabis users and the opioid users and the coca users, you know, and the alcohol users that scoff at the pot people. I mean, all of these types of different things. It's none of our business, and none of us know who's right or who's wrong or why any of us do any of what we do. You know, we need to be kind to each other, be tolerant of each other, try to be as understanding as we can, try to live in the other person's shoes a little bit, you know, think about what it might be like for them, recognize that we're just as bad in other ways or worse, you know? I mean, all of those things. This is a great time for us to reflect on all of that. To reflect on what we felt was valuable in our lives that now, for at least a short term, we don't have. You know, and let's get some of it back, and let's create some more, and you know, all that stuff. But yeah, the drug war has cost so much money, ruined so many people's lives, caused so many people to be fired, including myself. I got fired because they caught me on video at the gas station I worked at when I was 18 years old, and I was rolling a joint at the counter there, and at 2nd and Main, Texaco on a night shift. And the boss fires me, and he says, "Oh, it's really too bad. We gotta let you go. You're our best guy.
I know.
Your counts are always right on. We have no problems with you, but damn it, there you were rolling up some of that medicinal herb there that was going to help you focus during the night shift on, you know." How many people have lost their jobs in the oil patch, in the forest industry, and in the truckers industry, in all of these different industries because they, were positive for something like that?
How much people have done time? I've done time for marijuana.
I've been in cages for marijuana myself. And, you know, so many of my friends too. And what that does to a person, I mean, if you're in a cage for any length of time, you lose your job. You probably lose the space you were renting. You might lose the respect of your family and community because you're just in a cage, even though they don't get it. Your friends know that you're wearing it like a badge, but you know, the rest of society,
in
it's
Toronto,
a record.
They had the Don Jail. The Don Jail was built in the 1930s, I do believe. So the cells are that small. They would have 2 or 3 people in there.
Not today, they wouldn't.
They put an extra bed bunk, and then they put a mattress on the floor.
Right.
But not during COVID. Yes,
we could talk about prisons. For
those are real.
You know,
whoa.
We could talk about how barbaric it is to put a human being into a cage. Like why we think we should be doing that, I have no idea whatsoever. I mean, there's times, I'm sure, when some people refuse to stop using violence to settle their issues, and we probably have to force them apart from society. Some people, not too many, and most of them are fucked up because of the drug war anyway, and that's why they're crazy. But you know, the drug war permeates into so much of what crime happens in our society.
Like Escape from New York. Put them all in and let them kill each other. If you want to be violent, you get to go there, and then you get to live with all the other people who are violent like you, and the big guy wins, right? You know, something. When you said that,
violence is something that, you know, is inherent for a small percentage of people. It's abhorrent to the vast majority of people. They want no part of violence. They don't want to do violence to other people except in their imaginations.
But it's in us when our families get hurt or we're defending our house, right? It's there, right?
It's there because the people that are going to supply the drugs for decades had to be gangs of tough guys that would use violence to settle their issues. And violence had to become a part of life. There was always one more poor, disenfranchised, rebellious young person to take whatever job was available to get a bit of bling, to get out of the poverty and the cycle that they're in, to feel like they have some sort of a group behind them that cares about them. You know, from where they're coming from, that's a very good situation. So very attractive and lucrative to lure our young people into being drug dealers, into mules, into doing the violence that needs to be done to protect those interests and all that kind of stuff. We have cultivated generations
Of it.
of people to be violent,
Yeah.
to address the war on drugs.
Yeah.
If there was no war on drugs, there wouldn't be drug gangs.
No.
We'd have some gangs doing some things. Maybe that
Yeah.
small percentage of people that are just prone to violence would find a way to live their lives that way,
Yeah.
but they'd be in the minority for sure. And they still are in the minority, but it's a much larger minority because of the drug war.
Yeah.
And putting people in cages doesn't make them better people most of the time. They don't come out, better or, loving their government a little more respectful to laws.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen. It's the other way around. It's a school for how to be a criminal,
most
how
of
to
them.
hate the government, how to hate the system, how to get sick.
Yeah.
Because most of the people that go into prison go in not being disease ridden,
Yeah.
and by the time they've been there for not too long a time, they're in trouble. It's a horrible, horrible place to put people.
It
It
is.
doesn't save us any money.
No.
It doesn't make our communities any safer. It's just I don't know what it is. It's control and profit by governments that think that that's their right to do that to people. And because that's what's been done throughout history to people.
Yeah.
And it's never been right, and it's not right now. And maybe we'll rethink all of that, because they're talking about letting all the non-violent prisoners out, because there's prisoners testing positive,
I
and
heard
they
that,
can't
yeah.
contain it, or
if you meet the
they're afraid
criteria,
they
they're
can't
going to let
contain
you
it.
out. Yeah.
So
And-
maybe
and-
we'll rethink all of that stuff too.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll be a better world, hey Glenn?
Yes.
We want to be a better world.
Yeah.
In
Well,
the end. I mean, just
I could see growth from the stock markets because they went down so low. Now people will be able to invest their monies, that what they have left or may have been saving, and they'll be able to make some monies for their families in the future too. Because now the stocks are going to be down low again. People can buy them.
I'm not talking about the people that are going to die from the virus, but
Yeah.
there's several purges that are going to result from this, like the one you're just talking about there. And purges are good, typically speaking, or they have good to them. Anything powerful has both positive and negative. That is for sure.
Yes.
This is a powerful event in our lives. It has going to have positive and negatives. We
And the
need to try to
positive is that
seek
we're going to
out.
make it through, and the negative is we're going to lose some people.
We're going to lose a lot more than people. We're going to lose some economic stability.
Yeah.
We're going to lose some conscious stability as people become considerably more nervous
Yeah.
about lots of different things,
And on my side, I could say families might grow stronger together because they're together right now.
That's right.
There's lots of good things that can come from this,
A
right?
lot of creativity is
So
going to
it
happen.
reminds me of a fire. When you have a fire, everything gets burned
That's a purge.
down, right? And then new life starts, right? So we don't have a fire right here, but we got a little bit of burning, right? And we're going to get probably some good things from it.
And there comes the need for hope.
Yep.
We've talked a lot about the truth
Yeah.
going on, and we've talked a lot about the changes that are happening.
Yep.
And this show is all about truth, hope, and change. And hope is the middle name on purpose. Mm-hmm. Well, because we wanted to be THC, and it's THC. But even if it wasn't that,
Yeah.
even if it wasn't that, the truth is important, and making change is important. But all of that is revolving around hope.
Yeah.
You need to have hope before
Yeah.
you're going to make those changes, or even be able to contemplate making those changes.
Hope and faith.
The truth that you tell
Yeah.
needs to inspire some hope, because
Yeah.
there's all kinds of different truths to this, and some of them are positive and some of them are negative. So, but the hope is really important.
Yeah.
And people need to be still focusing on where there's hope. And I love what you're saying about, that there's all kinds of positives. Many families are going to be tighter
Yeah.
because of this.
Yeah.
Many people are going to find ways to bring out their creativity
Yeah.
in ways they didn't before.
And we already seen it. We've seen people singing online. We've seen
That's right.
Jan Arden doing free concerts.
A lot of free concerts online.
I know. And little kids singing about being locked up. A little girl did something to Frozen 2 song I saw on the news, right? So yeah, it brings it all out, right?
A lot of creative people are going to be more creative. And there was a big push not that long ago to get organized.
Yeah.
People were purging all the stuff they didn't need, right?
Yeah.
Well, now's a great time to get organized.
Yep.
Spring cleaning came a little bit early this year, and we get a little bit ahead of it. And being organized is a good thing, but try to recycle.
Mm-hmm.
The stuff that let's not fill our landfills with things that other people can use.
Yeah.
Let's try to recycle as best we can, reuse, recycle, make inventions, do all sorts of cool stuff like that as well. There's lots of opportunity in this for sure.
To everything bad, there's always going to be some good.
So the CSP continues on.
I heard you had a hard time last one? You had some
Well,
troubles
there
in the
was a
line.
little bit of angst in the
Do you
in the
think
lineup.
that's because of the COVID-19? As well as
Sure,
my
people
question
are a
for
little
you.
more on edge for sure.
Yeah. So like they're
We're
saying,
being a
get
little more
away from
bossy
me.
with our lineup, right?
They're saying get away from me, and their friends they used to be before COVID-19, and they're not like saying, I don't understand why you're doing this to me, sort of thing. Is that what's going on?
Yeah,
down
there was. Well, I don't know if they were friends that were having disputes or people that just met each other there that
Yeah.
day. There was one event was one woman chasing the other woman out into the street, swearing at her and calling her names and da. And the other one sort of coming back a little bit and then going away a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And right at that time, VPD drove by, and I had just been up on a chair taking a picture of everybody,
Yeah,
and,
like you
and I'm
do
on a
every week.
megaphone, right? I
Yeah.
get on a megaphone. And I explained to people the physical distancing that we're looking for, the ways to stay safe with not touching common items or common touch places. Don't put your hands on your face. Make sure you're gargling with warm lemon water, quite warm lemon water or salt or vinegar
Yeah,
or whatever.
what you were
Or
saying
even
earlier.
just warm water is
Yeah.
fine. But the way I listened to the one expert in particular talk about it is I came out of that saying, all right, well, a little lemon hot water swish and spit, and then gargle, gargle, especially if you get a little bit of a sore throat or dry cough. But even without that, when you get home from being out, have a bit of a hot water lemon gargle and swish and spit, and then another one where you drink it. Have a hot cup of tea,
Yeah.
just hot water with lemon,
Yeah.
or soup. Or some hot liquid,
Yeah.
because the theory on that is that this little virus works
If it's in your
way.
throat, it'll kill
It
it.
works its way. It's
Yeah.
trying to get into your lungs and
Yeah.
find its way in there, and it gets into your throat before it gets into your lungs. And if it's in your throat, it'll cause a bit of a dry cough. It'll cause a bit of a sore throat, and the way to get rid of it is to flush it down into your stomach.
Yeah.
If you can't spit it out.
Yeah.
So and the warm water especially too, because that'll kill it all by itself. So it's a little bit of doubling up on how to deal with it. Nice warm water on its own should be enough. Washing it down into your stomach should be enough. Spitting out before you do that is even a little more, in my opinion. There goes my joint trying to get
Again.
I should
We
light
should
it.
spark one up. Yeah. It's
So,
wow. Well, like
Well, we're doing pretty good, but we can do CSP now.
Yeah.
Let's focus on the CSP. We have a video. Maybe we'll watch that first, and then we'll go to our CSP update.
Hi, how are you doing today?
Doing all right.
So, that's so great of you to be holding this sign, huh?
Just trying to keep the spacing alive or the distancing.
It'd be so sad if we shut down for this virus.
Yeah.
That would be,
Yeah.
people have asked me. This is probably one of the most positive things that are down in this shit show.
Yeah, but reality is there could be much worse things down here really soon.
But this is a good thing. We're not talking about worse things. We're talking
Yeah.
about good things. Hi, Neil. How are you doing today?
Well, we're doing all right. We're still able to be here, which is really good, because the people that we're helping, I don't know where they'd be without our help, but they'd be out in the community making things a lot more risky for people and for themselves as well. So I'm really glad that Coastal Health is on board with us continuing our project. We're trying to be as safe as we can about how we do this and educating the lineup and the people there about not touching their faces. Oh, okay. So John's here with the hot food. That's really good. We've got cannabis. This is from Weeds, Glass and Gifts. No, this was from. No, this is not from Weeds, Glass and Gifts. Although they've certainly been one of our better donators. That our island friend that helped us out, and that's where that's coming from. So that's really good.
They have some nice weed over in the island.
Yeah, they do. Harmony Collective as well helped us out with a bunch of stuff that we've been using with our baking and stuff. There's a lot of good people helping. Too many to start mentioning, that's for sure. But these are very strange times that we're living in here, and we need this as much as ever. And as much as ever, people need to be focused on positive things. They need to be, keeping themselves safe and having as much fun as they can in the world. Life has always been a fragile place to be. It's a little more fragile and complicated than it was, but it was always fragile and complicated, and any day could be a person's last, and all of ours for that matter. So, that makes life very precious and very valuable, and how we feel is all we really got. That's all we really take away. So I hope people are able to find ways to connect with each other, to take advantage of the time that they have, to
to get the house cleaned and things organized, to create and write music and all the things that people would do if they had more time to do it. Well, now we've got a little more time to do it and a little more impetus to do it as well. So let's get grounded. Let's stay safe. Let's be smart. Let's have as much fun as we can until this is over, and hopefully it'll be over soon. Don't take it from me. Just go like that.
What brings you to our cannabis substitution lineup in amongst the coronavirus?
Free weed that I get helps me out from my arthritis.
And what brings you to Cannabis Substitution Project today?
Today is actually to get out of the house for a little bit, but it's mainly to deal with my pain in my neck and to deal with the stress and anxieties that I've been dealing with.
So what brings you to our cannabis substitution lineup all the time?
I've been coming here since June of 2019. I only missed a couple of times, and it's for me, it's a socialization because I got people from each side that I know, and I come and I come here to the lineup. So I don't mind the wait of an hour, 2 hours, but I come here mostly because when I do the edibles, it gets me off the alcohol, right? You know, like if I was not doing edibles right now, I'd be at a liquor store just fucking drinking.
And that's really bad for you.
Right? Yeah, it is. So I don't do edibles and relax.
So how does it help you out with your day-to-day life?
It just helps me manage my addiction. Like I have a heroin addiction,
Aw.
and it helps me like space out the amount of time that I need to go without heroin.
Hi, how are you today?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm doing excellent, thank you. And what brings you to our cannabis substitution lineup today?
Just need a little help getting through to the other month.
Aw, and how does cannabis help you out in your life?
I use it for to treat depression and arthritis and just general aches and pains and stuff. And it just helps me stay motivated and not get bogged down in my problems.
And what brings you to our Cannabis Substitution Project?
I can't believe that they would give free weed or edibles, and I would like to try them.
Okay, is this your first time?
No.
Okay, and how does the cannabis help you out with your day-to-day life?
It helps with arthritis.
Oh,
I was
wow.
a figure skater and a surfer, and my bones, I have arthritis in it. It helps it a lot. And now that it's legal, cut the pills out, smoke weed.
The edibles, they help down, like when I'm feeling
Down, when you're depressed.
Yes, depression, yes.
Depression's a really bad thing down here,
yes,
and it's really real.
It is.
And the psychiatric drugs don't work for depression.
No, I got a bag of them and they don't do nothing.
They do
Got
nothing.
to do drugs.
Aw.
Yeah, big thanks to Debbie Hellion for that video and all the fine work that she does interviewing people at our project there. I want to do a quick recap on the CSP itself, and then I'll do a little recap on what a day is like there recently. The CSP, the Cannabis Substitution Project, happened because a little over 3 years ago, in the midst of the current and still overdose crisis, which is still going on alongside of this pandemic that we're involved with, was killing people because of a tainted drug supply. And I had learned by having the herb school during 2004, I operated it for almost 2 years before I started going on the Freedom Tours. And I had learned there about the value of cannabis to people that were involved in the opioids and street drug use. And so when the opioid crisis hit, it was clear to me that high-dose edibles was a solution for many people. And right at that same time, the city of Vancouver decided that they would regulate these unlicensed dispensaries, and the regulations involved not allowing high-dose edibles or edibles at all. That to me was completely appalling and wrong, and I felt that we should just make it as easy as we could for people to get high-dose edibles during this overdose crisis. And so first I went to VANDU, the Vancouver Area Network of Drug Users, the advocacy group funded by Coastal Health, and pitched my idea to them of giving away cannabis high-dose edibles in care packs to people to help them offset the use of the other drugs. I got unanimous approval from them to go to City Hall and ask for City Hall's support And I did that, but City Hall was not very receptive to me. They had their own ideas about their dispensary plan, and they wouldn't really talk to me about my project. Spent a couple months having a lawyer lobby them and try to get them on board with us. He had no success during that time, and during those 2 months, I spent that time going to my dispensary owner friends and asking them for donations to start the project. And so a couple months into it, I went back to Vandu. I had a number of boxes of donations thanks to Weeds, Glass and Gifts at the time, and started giving them out from a table. I went back several more times, and I subsequently went back on Saturdays around noon 4 times in a row. It just worked out that way. I'd spend my week going around trying to get donations, and then I'd show up there on Saturdays and give them out without ever posting that I was going to do that or telling anybody, because I didn't really know what time I'd be there or when I'd be there. But I did go there 4 Saturdays at noon in a row. And on the 4th Saturday that I went there, there was a long lineup of people, and there was a handful of people that were approaching me wanting to help me with the project of giving cannabis edibles out to these people. And from that point, we went every Saturday at noon, because we knew that's when people were going to line up and expecting us to be there. And for a full year, we gave out care packs to an increasing lineup of people as we went. We pretty much averaged about 160 people during that first year. And after that first year, that lineup was getting a little bit hard to handle. There were issues in the lineup, and so I went to the board and I asked if we could do 3 days a week and none of them be Saturday, to try to disperse the lineup amongst those 3 different days and solve our lineup issues. And they told me that they could give me 2 days a week, but they're a very busy organization, and for me to take over their lobby like that for a couple of hours, they could allow me 2 days that weren't Saturday to do that. And that became Sunday and Thursdays at noon that we had showed up there now for a full 2 years plus since that time. And I'm really glad they didn't allow me to have 3 days a week, because I'm not sure how I would have managed that. It's pretty hard to manage 2 days a week with what we're doing. We are typically at this point for the last, close to a year, been giving out well over 250 care packs every time we go there. The lineup is longer and longer every time as more and more people find out about how it works, and the people that use the products that we give them keep coming back because it's definitely working for them. So that's how the project has been going. We've formed a society to be an umbrella over this project and to give it more legitimacy and to allow for more people to donate to us. We have an amazing board of directors that are operating this, including people right down on the front lines that have been involved since the beginning of our project. Jen Nelson and Andrew Morgan, 2 of our main volunteers for all these years, basically. Ted handed the job over to Andrew there after several months, and Andrew's been our head volunteer ever since. And Jen was one of the people in our lineup. You got to meet those people in last week's episode, and they're on the board. Chris Livingston and Sook Lee, others people that have been on our show, legends on the downtown east side with respect to harm reduction, United Nations award winners for harm reduction, and very, very happy that they're part of our board. John Murray, who's taken this project under his wing for quite a while and shows up Sundays and now most days with freshly cooked, infused hot food for people, has been so important. He's made up signs for us. He's an excellent graphics designer. He's been responsible for our logos and so many other things, and I'm very happy that John is a member of our board. And Deb Hay, who's an Indigenous activist that's been a huge part of our community for so long, so much involved in monitoring the different decisions made through the courts and the different battles that are happening on the Indigenous side of things and on the cannabis side of things. Also one of our main donators over the last 3 years with the project with her infused brownies, and comes there and volunteers her time and so much more. Very happy to have those people as our board of directors. And we have a very prestigious advisory board as well that are helping us with things. And so the prospects are good for the amount of good that we're going to be able to do as the Serious Hope Society coming up. These days, things are a little strange. You know, for the 3 years that I've been running the project, I've been trying to get the government to pay attention to us, to understand the value of what we're doing, to help us with what we're doing, because we aren't able to meet the demand that is there yet. There's still so many more people we could be helping, and the people that we are helping, we could be helping them better than we are, than just the care packs that we give them. And we've had very little, if anything, from government. As I mentioned, is the motion that has passed, and that's great. But none of them have ever been down to see what we're doing there. None of the councillors or nobody from Coastal Health has ever been down there to talk to the people in our lineup, to talk to the volunteers, to witness the profound help that we are providing to people twice a week there. Every time we go, it's a profound, epic event. And we all feel it at the end of it, the energy and the knowledge that we've helped so many people. My volunteers, myself, were brought to tears. Certainly our eyes tear up on numerous occasions because of lots of things, and lots of things that are said to us. One woman in particular talking to me about how she only sleeps because she can get our product, and without the things that we've been giving her for the last while, she wasn't able to sleep in her life. And I know how important sleep is to people in battling depression and poverty and other things, and disease. So I'm very happy that we get to do this. And so these days I'm careful about how I handle the donations that I get. I get them all together like last Sunday. My morning is putting the donations together, getting them ready, pre-bagging the cannabis into gram bags, or a little bit more than a gram we're giving people. And then I arrive having given some thought to what I'm going to say to the volunteers and say to the lineup, and I immediately go and make sure that the people out front are distancing themselves properly, and that they understand the importance of doing that, both for themselves and the safety of themselves and their community, but also for the safety of our project to be able to continue. We emphasize to the people in the lineup that if we want to be able to keep being there helping them, they have to cooperate in using proper physical distancing, and to try to stay away from touching the common areas. We use the opportunity to educate them. I get up on a chair with a megaphone and I talk to them about the things we talked about today on the show, and educate them as best we can. Our volunteers are all wearing masks and gloves. In the clip there that you saw me in, I might not have looked like I had gloves on, but they're clear gloves that I was wearing on Sunday. We're careful about how we handle the packaging of the bags, and we're careful about how we hand those bags over. We're only letting people approach us one at a time, and then we hand it over to them, and away they go. They get their choice basically, and then we hand it over to them, and away they go. So we have several different packages with some of it half and half CBD, some of it indica, some of it sativa, that sort of thing. Glenn is going to go, and just before you go, I wanted to thank you so much for helping me out here today, and all the stuff you're doing, man.
Thank you for having me.
It'd be a lot less entertaining for the people at home if it was just me.
Oh, you do a good job, Neil.
Oh, I don't know.
But yeah, it's nicer when you got two of us.
It's much better to have a
We'll see
little bit
you
of a
next
co-host.
week.
I may or may not have a guest next week.
Oh, come on, we'll find somebody. Hey.
Well, maybe it'll be you and me again.
Maybe good.
You never know.
We can do that.
A lot has changed in the past week.
Yeah.
I expect a lot more will change in the next week. We'll see what happens. I will continue to try to do the show because I think it's important to get good information out there, and I hope that we're giving good information during this show. So yeah, thanks, Glenn.
We'll see you
I'll
next
let you
week.
go because
Yeah.
I don't think they're giving parking tickets out.
I'm in the complex.
Oh, you're down there
yeah.
where the cars drive in and give you tickets.
Yeah, like the building,
yeah,
right?
those places
But
are still getting
I don't know
tickets.
if they're actually working because those guys could be,
off work as
too,
well.
right? It wouldn't let me pay through the app. I was able to pay at the machine, so
I put money in the meter, not enough because I didn't have enough.
Yeah, but you hope that they're not working
I'm
either,
thinking
right?
they're not working, and
Yeah. All right, we'll see you next week.
Thank you so much, Glenn. Yeah, a little different show, and hopefully we'll get back on track in the days ahead. I hope that we get back on track in a lot of different ways in our societies in the days ahead. Shout out to the volunteers. Shout out to all the people that are working at those levels of places, or those places where we need those services. my own volunteers or our volunteers with the Cannabis Substitution Project. I can't thank them enough. They are such brave, dedicated souls. We've talked about it. I've expressed my opinion on it, how I believe that the repercussions of not supplying these people with the medicine, the cannabis that we're providing them with would be far worse than doing what we're doing. I really would like to be doing what we're doing from a storefront on a daily basis and not have the large lineups that we're getting twice a week. I'm hoping that we can resolve that. I'm not sure how yet, but I'm really hoping that we can. Hope, right? But in the meantime, we're gonna keep doing this because the behaviors that the people would be engaged in, if they're not able to deal with their issues the way that they are with the cannabis that we give them, would put the entire community at greater risk. I'm really happy that the health officials understand that and are allowing us to continue, and are happy about the way that we're dealing with the protocols that need to be put into place. So we've been trying to stay ahead of that curve since the beginning, recognizing the fragility of our project. There's always a risk that they're going to come and shut us down anyway without the pandemic underway, just because we're thwarting the government's system of distributing cannabis to people. But we've learned, and we're learning through this pandemic, that our efforts are respected, and cannabis as medicine is respected, and the people's needs and rights to get cannabis is being respected by those decision makers that are making the final decisions. So I am really, really, really happy about that. And like I said, I can't say enough about how much I respect and want to thank all the people everywhere that know that what they're doing is of enough good that it's worth them risking getting the virus themselves, and they're going into those places and helping people with what they need. We need more frontline workers. There's got to be not enough, I'm sure. The care homes that are starting to be infected now by the virus must be losing workers. There must be losers that are self-isolating because they're not feeling well or other reasons. And now there's a restriction on workers working in multiple different places so that there's less available people to work in these places where we need more people, not less. And so we all have to pull together. And I know we've all heard everybody say it, but let's all work together and we'll get through this. Whatever it is, we as people will get through it. What's on the other side of this tunnel that we're in right now remains to be seen. Life might be considerably more fragile and complicated than it was already, but it already was pretty fragile and complicated before this happened, in my opinion. That's how I've always lived this life. I've always recognized the fragility of life. And because of that, I've lived my life in awe of life itself, of all that is that is. And I guess I'm not always happy with all that is, but I'm in awe of so much of what is, the universe, how it all works, the physics of things, people, love, creativity, music, humor, so many things that we experience here, food, sex, sunsets, art. I could go on and on. I live actually literally in awe, and how I always have. I'm a bit of a child that way. I just think this is an amazingly special thing that we've got going on here, that there is life, that we've evolved to where we are able to be who we are and what we are and do what we do the way that we do it. It all blows my mind a little bit. I think I recognize how special it all is and how easily we could lose it all. And I've always felt that. And the doomsday clock is no further away from midnight than it's been throughout my life. And that just means that I love you all even more. And I appreciate everything even more. And I think that we need to all spend time thinking about the things that we value and appreciate the things that we have and stay focused on positive things, so that, because all those moments go into your bank of your life. And at the end of your life, all you have is a bank, and it has what you spent on the one side that helped and made you feel better, and what you have on the other side that was misery and hurt people. And I hope we're all trying to put as much on the good side of our lives as we can, so that at the end of it, we've got a bank account full of being kind to people, taking advantage of our opportunities to experience the world and make the world a better place. These are things that are at the core of humanity, and humanity is an extremely rare and special thing, and all of us have that. If you're mad at somebody, if you're having disagreements with somebody, if you don't like somebody, I'm here to tell you that there are reasons for their behaviors that you probably just don't understand, and that everybody's doing the best they can with who they are and what they got and what they understand. And if they could be better, they would. The proof is certainly in that pudding. But if we will help each other be our best selves, if we will be our best selves, and if we will just look for the things that bring us joy, have as much fun as we can, then we can still make the world a better place, and we'll come through this, and we'll all be better because of it. I believe that. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being part of the solution, and have as much fun as you can until I see you next time. Oh, before I go, I want to say that there's not many shows on this network that are running right now because of the virus. When there is, there's the 420 Lifestyle show on Mondays. Carly Marley's not feeling well. She's self-isolating at this point, so she's not able to do her show. I want to abuse these things here. And Boss Liz is still doing her show on Saturdays, and that should continue into the foreseeable future. So good on her, and tune in for that. Greg Williams might be here tomorrow. Pretty good chance of that. We'll wait and see what decision Greg has to make. There's lots of different factors going on here about whether or not we can or cannot do the show. Jeremiah is self-isolated with Carly because they're a couple, and so he has to stay out of the studio as well. So I don't think he'll be doing his show coming up. But on Fridays, he does Cannabis Culture News Live, and maybe after next week he'll be back, and all of us back with a vengeance. Mostly I want to thank Neil, our producer, who allowed this to happen by coming in here and doing this. And I think he's safe, and I think he's smart, and I think that we're okay. But still, I want to thank him, because without him it doesn't work at all, and none of these shows do. So thanks, Neil, for that. One of the frontline people that deserves applause. I'm the only one here, thanks to physical distancing, but I know you're all clapping at home. We can't touch each other. We're out of reach. We're staying safe, and I want all you to stay safe. But as I said, and as I keep saying, and I will always say, have as much fun as you can changing the world.
The entire new industry is built upon the prohibition. Our oppressor, the government, along with the cops, came up with legalization. Why do I care about what they came up with? I didn't give a fuck about their laws that they had on the books when it was illegal. Well, but my belief is that cannabis has not hurt anyone.
Even bad cannabis.
And most of what I have seen of cannabis consumption for fucking all these years has been done in a completely, utterly unregulated industry. No rules whatsoever. No rules. For all this time, no one's been hurt. What in God's name would make one think that we need rules?
Or a whole bunch of them, you know?
Hey, wait a second. This is going along perfectly. We need rules. They threaten me to come on board. Threaten me. Oh my God, how childish. How insulting. I'm a fucking adult who likes cannabis. We've learned to have a lot of fun around cannabis here because we like it. That's
whole network based on
the
it.
celebration of cannabis is because we like it. What do you think? This is all fucking made up? Till we see you next time. I'm Marijuana Man. Peace, pot, and boycott.
Hi there, welcome to the 420 Lifestyle Show. I'm Carly Marley. She's taking a dab. Thanks.
We can play the Sycamoose video.
Oh yes, Sycamoose video. Let's play the Sycamoose video.
Yeah, so that's my home. That's like all over the place, I guess.
It helps the speaker lead his audience into the scene he describes.
Oh, I'm rolling up the fattest joint I could possibly fit in this paper.
Perfect.